Hey besties, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today I feel like I have a little bit of a treat for you guys because Emma from Emma Books agreed to be episode 3 of TBR Takeover. I know she doesn't really post on BookTube as often anymore. She's a very busy woman, but I know she still has a love for reading and a love for you guys, and so I'm so happy that she agreed to be in this video. She sent me a little bit of a clip. I'm so excited to read the books that she has picked out. Emma is one of my closest BookTube friends, and she is just such a great person. She's out there being influential these days. She's a therapist, and I know she has a very active social life. I was very fortunate in 2022 because I did get to see her 2 times in person, once when I visited New York and then another time when she came to Atlanta for a conference. When she came to Atlanta, we actually did film a collab, so I'll link that down below if you want to watch it. We reacted to ugly book covers, but I just love Emma so much. She's such a great person and she's just such a good friend. Like, I wish you could hear our conversations when we're not on camera because I love talking to her about life. I love talking to her about books, and she has impeccable taste in everything, in style, in books, in clothing, and everything. I love Emma. So I'm so excited that she is episode 3. So I guess we should just get into me reacting. I already filmed me reacting to the books.
Hi Sarah! So I'm so excited that you asked me to pick 3 books for you to read. I feel like I've always gotten such great recommendations from you, so I'm really hoping that you will enjoy these, and I feel like they really align with your reading tastes. So my fingers are crossed that you will actually like them and I don't just waste your time. So I have 2 thrillers and one I guess it's kind of like a contemporary, but the first thriller I'm recommending is 56 Days by Catherine Howard. And this is a thriller that is set during the first lockdown of the pandemic. It's about this woman and this guy who meet like right before lockdown starts, and because they are starting to date and develop a relationship, they decide to be lockdown buddies and like move in together very quickly and early on in the relationship. And it is a dual timeline story where the first half of the story you're following both of the main characters' perspectives as they have recently started this relationship and are getting to know each other while living together. And then the second timeline takes place 56 days after they have first met, and it's following the police investigation as a person has been found dead in the apartment that they were living in. This is one of the best thrillers I have read in a really long time. It's super interesting to reflect back on the early lockdown days because even though it was only like 2 or so years ago, it feels so far away, and so it was really interesting to dive back into that in a novel. And what I really loved about this book is that it is so hard to figure out. Like, there were so many points in the story where I thought I had figured out like who is the one who died, who is the one that murdered, what led up to this, what is going on in their secret pasts. And every single time I thought I figured it out, the entire course of the story changed with the new information. So it was a really fun and engaging read, and I think that you're really going to enjoy it.
Okay, as you can see, Billy is getting very excited about these books that Emma's talking about, but that sounds really interesting. I've actually never read a book about COVID.
And so the next thriller I want to recommend is The Girls Are All So Nice Here by Lauren Elizabeth Flynn. And the reason I'm recommending this to you is because you recommended to me In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, which is a book I have not finished but have been really enjoying, and I find that the books are like sisters. Like, they're really similar in plot and vibes, and so if you enjoyed that one, I think you'll enjoy this one. The general premise is that our main character is going back for her 10-year college reunion, and so she only attended the college for her freshman year because at the end of the year there was this really big event called Dorm Doom, and she transferred after it. And then in the present, as she is going back and reconnecting with these people for the first time in 10 years, she's receiving a lot of threatening messages suggesting that somebody knows about her involvement, the things that she did, and they really want revenge. What I find really interesting about this book is that it showcases the internalized misogyny of the early 2000s from women. So there's a lot of negative things about other women and beliefs that she has, but it's done in a way where it's very clear to me that the author isn't agreeing with this ideology, but more so showing what it was actually like. For that reason, the main character is very unlikable, but I feel like it's the good kind of unlikable. I also read this book in 2 days, which is not common for me. It was super engaging. It really just makes you want to figure out what happens next, and I think it's just really entertaining. Like, it was a fun read, so I hope you enjoy it.
Okay, I love an unlikable main character in a thriller done well. That definitely does sound sort of similar to a Ashley Winstead book. It made me think of both The Last Housewife and In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, so I'm pretty excited to pick that up. Like, I feel like it definitely is up my alley. I feel like Emma is doing really well so far picking up these books.
And the last book I want to recommend to you is quite the BookTube throwback, and that is Mr. Penumbrum's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. I feel like when you and I were like first coming up on BookTube, everyone had read this book, everyone had loved this book, and I feel that both of us had just never gotten around to it, even if we were interested. The premise of the story is this boy Clay begins working at a bookstore, and it is not your typical like Barnes & Noble. It is a very small bookstore where people rarely come in to ever buy books, but he works the overnight shift because clearly it's 24 hours. And rather than buying books, they come in and check out these really obscure volumes of books that he's never heard of. So naturally he becomes curious and wants to figure out like, what is the purpose of all of these people coming into this bookstore and checking out these weird books? What really is this bookstore all about? And it turns into this really awesome scavenger hunt of like trying to find ancient relics and figure out symbols and puzzles. And it was not what I expected from the book, but so satisfying. It's very entertaining, and I feel like it really did transport me back to like the excitement out of all of the books that I was reading when this book was popping off on BookTube. So it's got a little bit of nostalgia added to it without having read the book before. So these are my 3 book recommendations. I cannot wait to hear what you think about them, especially because with the first 2 thrillers, I feel like nobody has really talked about them, and nobody ever talks about Mr. Penumbrum's anymore, even though it was very popular during its prime. So I can't wait to hear what you think.
The Mr. Penumbra book, I kind of remember people talking about it in like 2015 when I first joined BookTube, but besides maybe like Jessie the Reader, I don't really remember anyone reading it, and I don't even know if Jessie actually read it or if I'm making that up, but genuinely, I can't remember anyone talking about it, and I've never known what it was about. Like, I am familiar with the title, but I never knew what the book plot was, so I'm kind of excited to read it. And the thrillers sound really good. They definitely sound up my alley. I feel like Emma did a really good job of picking them, so let's just get into reading. I'm nervous. Okay guys, so I am like 80% into 56 Days, and I have to say that I really like it so far. I really wasn't sure at first. I wasn't like vibing initially because the storytelling is multiple storylines like Emma was saying, and so I was a little confused at first because we start out with the couple meeting and then eventually we go into a police investigation, and I was trying to like piece everything together. And I will say it's a little bit predictable. Like, I definitely guessed some certain things, but recently there was a little bit of a twist. Like Emma was saying in her little clip, there were times where I was like, okay, I've got this figured out, I've got this nailed, like this is so obvious, and then something else happened, and so I think I know where it's going, but I'm loving it so much. I definitely would say only read this if you're okay with like reading about early pandemic days. Like, for some people that's pretty traumatic, like to think back to those days, but in my opinion it's a really interesting backdrop for a thriller because it was definitely a time that everyone was afraid, and so to have this thing going on where you like decide to live with someone you barely know, and then you like learn they're not who they say they were. And so I don't know, I really liked it. I really liked it. When I say liked, I mean like present tense because I'm still reading it. I literally have like 20% of the audiobook left. And also, it is an Irish thriller. I don't know if I've ever read an Irish book in general, actually, now that I say that, but I don't know, it's really interesting. It takes place in Dublin, and yeah, I don't know. I like it. I like it so far. I just wanted to give a quick little update before I finished it because I have a tendency to finish books before I come and talk to you about them. And so yeah, I don't know. I'm just really liking it so far. Am I wearing a Halloween sweatshirt right now? Yeah, I am. And is my hair dirty? That's also true. Let's just ignore all of that. It's fine. So I finished 56 Days a few days ago. That's many days in one sentence. And I have to say, I think I'm gonna rate it like 3.5 or 4 stars. This year I'm using the CAWPILE rating. If you're familiar with Book Roast's channel, she invented this rating system called CAWPILE, and it basically stands for characters, atmosphere, writing, plot, intrigue, logic, and enjoyment. That is what the acronym stands for. And so you kind of rate each section out of 10. And so I went through and I rated it, and it did average out to be like 3.5 stars. Okay, editing Sarah here to tell you that past Sarah is actually wrong, but essentially I had forgotten to put the E in CAWPILE, like enjoyment. And so later I put that in as an 8, and then it actually averaged out to a 4-star rating. So this rambling I'm about to do in this clip actually makes no sense. Like, in my heart, I want to give this book 4 because I really enjoyed it up to a point, but I think if I'm being like realistic, it's probably a 3.5. So on Goodreads, I'll probably put 4 stars. But just so you know, scientifically with CAWPILE, it was 3.5. I did not love the characters all the way through. There were little things about them that I just didn't really connect with. And then I didn't love the ending. It was a little bit rushed in my opinion. Also, I completely predicted where the story was going. There was one twist that I didn't predict, which I appreciated. I think I mentioned that in my last update. So overall, it was an enjoyable book, and I would probably recommend it. Like if I was making like a thrillers recommendation list, it wouldn't be like top of the list, but it definitely would be one that I would say is a good time. Like I enjoyed it, but I think for me, the ending can really make or break something. I'm sorry, Emma, if you're watching this. You probably are watching this, but I liked it. I did like it, just not my favorite thriller I've ever read. Also, I'm almost done with Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore, and Emma, if you're watching this, I think someone's calling you on your phone right now. I think you need to go in the other room. Like maybe your mom's calling you, Jake's calling you, someone's calling you. You need to go in the other room, maybe take the call for a couple minutes and come back to the computer in like 2 minutes, okay? Just leave. Please leave. Okay, is Emma gone? Is the coast clear? I don't like this book, guys. I really don't like it. This hasn't happened yet in a TBR takeover. It was inevitable. It was probably going to happen because I'm very picky and I don't always agree 100% with all of my friends, even though they are impeccable people. Sometimes the books are not as impeccable. I am just really not connecting with the main character. He has a very nerdy Dungeons and Dragons yet still dude bro mentality, and it's in first person, and I'm just not really loving the writing style. Like, I don't know, I don't really get it. Our main character has a huge obsession with this girl that he's dating. She came into the bookstore one day and he's been like obsessed with impressing her, and her whole thing is that she works at Google, and so she's very obsessed with her job at Google, and so it's Google this, Google that. There's actually a point in the story where he goes to the Google campus in San Francisco, and there's just like, she works for Google. That is her thing. And as someone who works in tech, I don't know if many of you know this, I am a app designer. I basically design mobile apps for a living. I literally work with engineers, I work with product managers, I do all the stuff. And I am very critical when I hear about it in books. Listen, I've never worked at Google. I am not one of those people. I work at startups that are way smaller than Google. So I am not familiar with the ins and outs of how Google works when it comes to product development. But there were just some weird things about the way the engineers were talking to each other and kind of just the general like gist of like how Google works. Like, this is gonna be so nitpicky. I have to say this. So there is this whole plot line where the love interest, I think her name is Catherine. If her name's not Catherine, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna call her Catherine. Where Catherine is talking about how to become a product manager at Google, they do a raffle. It's sort of like jury duty where your name randomly gets pulled from like a hat for you to be the PM. And it's really weird because that is not how I know tech to work. I have a product manager that I work with every day at my job, and so she and I are assigned to the product that we're working on. Like, we have certain features that we're in charge of. We're in charge of the mobile app, and so I design for the mobile app and she's the product manager for the mobile app. So I'm kind of confused why there would be a raffle where they would allow random engineers to become product managers. I feel like I'm probably speaking gibberish to anyone that doesn't work in tech, and I don't really feel like getting into all the details right now. I just want you to know there's aspects of her job and her obsession with working at Google that are just not really clicking with my personal experience working in tech. But I also have to give the caveat that I've never worked at a corporation like Google, so maybe that is how it works. Like, maybe Robin Sloan, the author, has history working at Google and she's literally quoting from her experience. I literally have no idea. I'm just saying that it kind of takes me out of the story whenever I'm reading a book that involves tech, like engineers or UX designers or anything like that, and it doesn't ring true to my experience, which I know is very selfish as a reader. But listen, books are here to entertain me. But anyway, that's just rambling, neither here nor there, because what does her working with Google really have to do with a secret society about books? I mean, when you're reading the book, it actually has something to do with it. I don't really want to get into all the details because it'll spoil you, but there are things to do with the books and Google and whatever. But I'm just like, why are we mixing these things? I don't know. I'm not liking it. And so Emma, you better not be watching this right now because I'm insulting a book you like. But anyway, I have like 2 hours left to the audiobook, and Emma, if you didn't leave the room and you listened to me talking shit about this book, I'm sorry, because I know it was one of your favorite books that you read last year. I look really insane right now. I'm trying a new way of doing my hair. I'm using Velcro rollers after I used my blow dryer, but I have to leave it in for a while, and I want to update you guys on my readings, so you're just gonna have to endure with this. Something else exciting though is that I got this Pride and Prejudice shirt. I saw it on TikTok. It looks like a band shirt, but it's Pride and Prejudice, and I'm obsessed. I also got a Sense and Sensibility one. I would have gotten the Persuasion one, but it was actually kind of ugly, so we didn't do that. Anyway, I'm done with Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore. Emma, again, leave the room. Leave the room right now, please. I, for some reason, presumed that Robin Sloan was a woman just because of the name, and I should not have done that, because I spent a majority of the book being like, this book feels like it was written by a man, and I don't like it. And then I looked it up, and Robin Sloan is a random bald man. So that tracks, because the writing style was just not for me. I predominantly read women, and it's very rare that I enjoy books written by men. I don't know what that says about me or about them or about the books. I don't know. I don't know what my official rating of this is. I'm gonna guess that it's somewhere between 2 to 3 stars. I'm gonna do my CAWPILE rating and I'll put it here on the screen. But unfortunately, I did not love this book. It was not for me. I did not really enjoy the excessive use of Google in the story. Like I was saying earlier, Kat, the girl that Clay, the main character, is dating, works at Google, and that's what she's obsessed with. And so when he's trying to like decode stuff in this secret society, they start partnering with Google to do that. And it was just a really weird plot line for me. I know that the story takes place in San Francisco, and that's kind of like a tech hub, and that makes sense, like Silicon Valley, but I just don't like that, especially because I work in tech. I know I rambled about that earlier, so I'm not gonna bore you with those details again, but I just don't really understand. I also looked up Robin Sloan to find out if he had ever worked at Google, and it doesn't say that he has, so I feel like he was just making stuff up. I don't really know. I didn't really like it. Mr. Penumbra was the only character that I absolutely loved. I thought he was like a sweet little old man, and I really liked his vibes. I didn't really care by the end of it. I was really trying to just get it over with. You know when you increase your audiobook up from 2 times speed all the way up to 3 times speed because you're just trying to plow through it? That is what happened to me. I feel really bad because this is the first TBR takeover where I genuinely like really didn't like a book. I'm gonna let these curlers sit for a little bit longer, and I have some errands that I need to run today. I want to go to a vintage store nearby that closes at 4, and it's 2 o'clock right now, so I need to hurry my ass up and go do that. And I'm probably gonna start The Girls Are So Nice Here, or All the Girls Are Nice Here, then Girls Are So Nice Here, whatever that book is called. I'm gonna start that, and I will check in with you when I'm a good way through that. I don't know if that'll be today. I don't know if that'll be tomorrow. I have a video I need to edit today, and I got these errands. So we'll see the way that the cookie crumbles. Okay, it has been many hours since we last spoke. Why do I look so fucking pale right now? I literally look like Casper the Ghost. This is who I am. I'm just a white girl. Anyway, I wanted to show you what my hair turned out like. It isn't amazing, to be honest. For the amount of work it takes to do those rollers, for it to look like this, I think I'm just gonna Dyson it like I do normally because this isn't really that much better. Anyway, I did go to the vintage store earlier, and I looked at different desks and vanities and stuff for my bedroom. I don't know if I even said that that is what I was going to the vintage store for. I feel like I just said I was going to a vintage store. Whatever. I went and looked at furniture, and then I went to a few thrift stores. Felt like a tongue twister. Anyway, I went to a couple of different places, and unfortunately I couldn't find anything that I was looking for, especially at the vintage store. The items like were real mid-century modern. Oh my god, it is like 1 a.m. and I'm slurring my words. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that the furniture there was real mid-century modern, so it was really expensive. It was like $800+. So I decided to just go to the drawing board, and that's when I went to the other thrift stores. And then I came home and I ended up just buying something from Target. So I saved money. I spent less than $200, and it's fine because I really wanted something that I would love. And even though the one from Target isn't like my favorite, I do like the way that it looks. It doesn't have as much storage as I was looking for, but it's good. Anyway, I'm rambling about furniture, and that is not why we're here. Also, I apologize if you can hear like my computer breathing heavy in the background. I am exporting the video that I'm posting tomorrow on Sunday, and so she is just huffing and puffing away. Also, I'm gonna set you down on my desk. I have a scanning desk, and so sometimes what I do is I set the camera down and then I raise it up like this, don't mind my double chin, and then I just talk to you guys like this, resting on my desk. Okay, finally I feel like the computer stopped making that huffing and puffing noise. Anyway, I'm exporting a video right now, and the reading update that you're looking for, I feel like I'm really rambling right now because it's literally 1 a.m. and I just edited a video for like 3 hours, and I'm so fucking tired right now. But anyway, the reading update. I am probably 30 to 40% of the way through The Girls Are All So Nice Here, and I can see why Emma made a comparison of this to In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, and it has a similar vibe where the main character is trying really hard to fit in college, and she's really pretentious and she's very unlikable, and I'm liking those vibes because that is what I liked about In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. But as far as like the writing style, just the prose and the general storytelling, I'm not loving it as much. I think what was really appealing about In My Dreams I Hold a Knife is that it was like a very big friend group, and they all had different intricacies. There was a lot of like secrets being, you know, covered. And at this point in the story, we actually don't know what happened when our main character was in college. Her name's Ambrosia, and she goes by Amp, which is kind of a stupid name, but she does acknowledge that in the book. She says that she wishes her name was not Ambrosia because Amp is a weird nickname. But anyway, so Ambrosia has not yet told us what happened in college, so we're flashing back and forth between present day when she's getting invited to this like college reunion at Wellesley. No, it wasn't Wellesley, it was Wesleyan. I don't know how to say that college's name. Anyway, she has to go to this reunion with her husband, and something happened her freshman year of college that was like a big deal, and we don't know what happened yet, and so we're going back and forth in the timeline. So yeah, I think that's what differentiates it from In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, because In My Dreams I Hold a Knife we already knew that there was a murder. So yeah, I don't know, it's good so far. I like it, and I'm feeling more positive about this than I did about obviously Mr. Penumbra. And it has a similar intrigue level for me as 56 Days did, where the ending could definitely make or break what I think of it. So yeah, that's my update for you guys. I feel like this was the most incoherent vlog update I've ever given in my life because I am so tired and I want to go to bed. Okay, so I finished The Girls Are All So Nice Here, and I'm so torn. I liked a lot of this. If you don't like unlikable characters, you will absolutely not like this book. Like, for every person who did not enjoy In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, you will absolutely not like this book at all. You definitely have to be someone who enjoys thrillers about people who are really like irredeemable, who do horrible, horrendous things. And I was okay with that throughout the book. Like, I like characters like that in thrillers, but I just didn't like how this one was done. Like, the actual mystery part wasn't as strong as the writing about the girls in college and how they were like hating on other women, and just sort of exploring that relationship of feeling competitive and projecting your own insecurities onto other people. Like, that stuff was all very interesting, but I think ultimately the actual mystery and what was going on and like who died and like what was happening, like trying to figure out what went on, was just not as compelling in my opinion. Like, I liked the characters. There was also a couple of things that I wanted to happen that didn't end up happening, and then the ending kind of ruined the whole thing for me. So I think I'm gonna rate this 3 stars. So to sum up this video, I rated the first book, I believe, 4 stars. I think I said earlier that it was 3.5 stars with Cawpile, but I actually had forgotten to put in one of the letters. I think I forgot to put an E. So it actually was 4 stars, not 3.5. So 4 stars to 56 Days, like 2 stars to Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore, and then 3 stars for The Girls Are All So Nice Here. I can definitely see why Emma recommended these books to me. The Girls Are All So Nice Here is definitely a book that I would recommend if you like In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, but unfortunately for me, I think the Ashley Winstead book just did it a lot better. So ultimately, I was just left feeling disappointed. I didn't really like the conclusion, like I was saying. So yeah, and then Mr. Penumbra's was a complete miss for me, but it is creative. I could see why people might like it if they like secret societies and things to do with books. Like, that could be interesting. It just did not work for me. I did not like the excessive talk of Google. I didn't really like the main character's narrative. And then 56 Days was actually the best book that I read in this vlog. I definitely did like it. I just, again, didn't love the conclusion. And the worst thing about thrillers is that they could be the best thing you've ever read until the ending, and the ending can really make or break a thriller for me. So that's just really unfortunate. But I am still glad that my darling Emma recommended books to me. If you're watching this, girly, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, bestie, that I didn't love these books, but I will still read more books recommended by you because you're the best. If you've made it to the end of this video and you enjoyed watching it, feel free to use the cobalt blue heart emoji in your comment down below. I always associate this shade of blue with Emma. I think she has said it's her favorite color before, and so it just screams Emma to me, so let's just do that in honor of her. Also, let me know which booktubers you'd like to see on TBR Takeover so I can reach out to them. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. You're all beautiful. Have a nice day.